Good morning and welcome to Wycomico County Council Legislative Session 2014-21. We begin each meeting with the Lord's Prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance for those who would care to join us.
Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on our agenda this morning is a proclamation that will be presented by Ms. Sharon Morris on Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month and will be received by Ms. Levita Bragdon.
Morning.
Morning.
I wanted to introduce Ms. Bragdon. She came to us with a request for the Alzheimer's, and you've seen the large banner out in front of the county government office building because it's personal to her, and she's going to speak for a minute when I'm finished. Whereas Alzheimer's disease is a progressive degenerative disease of the brain, causing deterioration in memory, thinking, judgment, and reasoning ability, and affects behavior, emotions, and the ability to perform self-care. An estimated 5.2 million Americans have Alzheimer's disease. And whereas President Ronald Reagan first proclaimed National Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Week in November of 1983, 11 years before being diagnosed with the disease. Since then, every month of November has been recognized nationwide as National Alzheimer's Disease and Awareness Month. And whereas November is also Family Caregivers Month, approximately 15.5 million caregivers provide an estimated 17.7 billion hours of unpaid care. And whereas Wycomico County recognizes individuals, families, friends, and caregivers dealing with the devastating effects of Alzheimer's disease, the researchers and medical professionals who are seeking causes and a cure, and the educational programs and support services provided by the Alzheimer's Organization. Now, therefore, I, Richard M. Pollitt, Jr., first elected county executive for Wycomico County, Maryland, do hereby proclaim November 2014 as National Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month and Family Caregivers Month in Wycomico County, and encourage all citizens to become educated about Alzheimer's disease, support the agencies working to find a cure for this disease, and the family members caring for loved ones who are affected, and remember all those who have lost loved ones to the Alzheimer's disease. Signed this date of November, Richard M. Pollitt, Jr., County Executive.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My mom has Alzheimer's disease. She was diagnosed 7 years ago. She's will be 90 in January. It kind of was prompted for me to speak about it because every October, everybody makes a big deal about breast cancer awareness. And I don't want to diminish that because that is certainly an important subject matter, and it's a disease that certainly deserves a spotlight. But very little is known about Alzheimer's disease, and nobody really talks about it. And it's in some ways more devastating and more painful than any other disease because you watch the person that you loved slip away. My mother looks like my mother, and that's the only trace I have of her. From time to time, I get glimpses of her. And it's painful, it's devastating, it's financially devastating, and it's emotionally devastating. Not enough research has been done. People think they know what it is, and they don't. Dementia is not Alzheimer's disease. Dementia is a different animal, and people need to educate themselves, and that's why I felt it was really important to throw it into the spotlight And maybe perhaps if one or two more people open a book and educate themselves about what it is, what it can do, what you can do to help, maybe if a few more people would throw a few dollars toward Alzheimer's research, this might not be a disease that affects you and I. It's not a disease that is particular to old people. People in their 40s are diagnosed with Alzheimer's. They lose all sense of self. And I want to thank the council for giving me a few moments just to kind of put it in the spotlight. Thank you so much, Sharon, for presenting this to us. And thank you for putting the banner out front. And if one or two more people bother to educate themselves about the disease, then my work will be done. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to observe a moment of silence for Miss Gladys Gosley that recently passed away. Thank you. Okay, next we have on our agenda the approval of several sets of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from October 21st, 2014?
So moved.
Second. Okay, is there any discussion on these minutes? Okay. All in favor of approval of the minutes from October 21st, 2014, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the president votes aye. All right, next, going to have a motion to approve the closed work session minutes from October 7th, 2014.
So moved.
Second. Okay, is there any discussion on these? All right, all in favor of approval of the minutes from the closed work session from October 7th, 2014, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the president votes aye. All right, and last we have approval, can I have a motion to approve the closed work session minutes from October 21st, 2014?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor of approval of the closed work session minutes from October 21st, 2014, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the president votes aye. Before I pass along to Mr. Creamer, I just want for the public knowledge that Resolution 151, 2014, the bond resolution, has been removed from this agenda. We still welcome comments during the public comment period of this meeting, so please, if you are here to support any portion of that, please feel free during public comments to come up and speak in favor of what you're here to speak for, or against, whatever you're here to speak against. And we will hopefully see this resolution again in December, forwarded to us by the new county executive, Mr. Bob Culver, and then voted on by the new county council. Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes.
can you explain that a little further as to why it was pulled from the agenda?
Sure.
I did receive, as council did, receive an email on yesterday that it was going to be taken off, but it wasn't with, that I received the explanation until I questioned it from Mr. Kramer.
Sure.
And yes, and Mr. Kramer and Mr. Holloway, I'm aware that you do set the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
However, in past times, we have, as a council, been somewhat unofficially polled,
Sure.
or at least given the courtesy phone call or something, just to say a subject such of this magnitude to be discussed among council members. And so to that end, I would like for you to, if possible, to just go into detail as to why it's off the agenda.
Really, it's a process issue. The bond resolution has to be signed by the new county executive. And therefore, if we passed this resolution today, in my opinion, we would be binding the new county executive to something that was forwarded to us by the former county executive. I think it's only appropriate that we give Mr. Culver the opportunity to review this bond resolution before it comes to the council, since it's going to have his signature on it.
That's interesting. Did we not know that about 2 meetings ago? Because this was discussed 2
Right.
meetings ago, and it's my understanding that Mr. Culver and Mr. Joe Holloway indicated there were some projects that they wanted to remove from the table of this particular resolution. So therefore, I was just curious as to when did we seek this understanding?
Yeah, I don't think we realized the timing issue that was going to occur. And keep in mind that this is the first time we've had a transition of an executive, so there are a lot of new things coming at us right now that we're trying to still come to terms with.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate you making the explanation, because I think the public needs to know just as well as us who are on email strings. But again, I do think it's out of courtesy, and you have done in the past, made us aware, but this was interesting that it wasn't.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Mr. Creamer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, good morning. Ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Strasburg sent his regrets today. Due to his absence, he is serving jury duty.
Matt, could you pull your microphone a little closer, please? There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Joe Holloway. Another addition, this is an addition to the agenda, which came about just yesterday, an emergency request from the administration. There are a number of heating and air conditioning units on the top of the Health Department building, the Fritz building, that are not working, and funds are requested to replace those units. That will be resolution number 152. I apologize for it not coming to you sooner, but the weather is getting cold and they provide heat to those areas of the building. So your indulgence is requested for that. Mr. Conrad will be present if Mr. Strasburg is detained further in jury duty, but Mr. Conrad will be here to answer your questions and present that to you. Moving on then, the first item of the agenda for this morning is the Lower Shore Health Insurance Assistance Program, a presentation by Ms. Susan Hill, Family Investment Assistant Director, and Catherine Gumby, Program Coordinator, Assistance Program. And both of these ladies, I believe, are from the Worcester County Health Department. Is that correct? Yes. Thank you.
No.
I beg your pardon?
From Wycomico County.
She's from the Department of Social Services.
All right. Well, Mr. President, would you invite them forward?
Yep.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you. So we can go ahead to the first slide, Susan. Thank you. By way of background, Worcester County Health Department received the Connector Entity Grant from the State of Maryland's Health Benefit Exchange to operate a navigator and a sister program. You've heard a lot about this in the news over the past year. So we received the grant for all three counties, Somerset, Wacomico, and Worcester County, to provide in-person assistance to help people enroll into the state insurance marketplace. We serve the uninsured and the underinsured. The way that we work on the lower shore is that all three counties often work, let's stay on that slide just for a minute more. All three counties collaborate very closely because, we rely on each other's resources. We work very closely with each other in Department of Social Services and the local health departments. The directors of the social services and the health officers of all three counties came together to discuss who should take the lead and put in a proposal for this grant for this region. It was decided that it really needed to be an organization that was local to serve our local residents, that understood our unique cultural and local needs, as opposed to depending on some sort of outside nonprofit agency from another part of the state or even from another state to come down here and do this work. So the directors and the health officers said it really needs to be someone from this table to step forward and do this project because we serve the most vulnerable populations. We are already in contact with many of the uninsured and underinsured in our three counties. So let's take the lead locally. Worcester County Health Department had the resources and capability to take the lead on the grant, knowing that we had the support of our partners in Somerset and Wacomico County. So from year one, at the start of this grant, and we're now in year two, we knew that there were approximately 23,000 uninsured residents in all three counties. And since we are in Wacomico County, I would like to point out that about 12,700 of those are in Wacomico County. Of those, 86% of the uninsured in our lower shore area
qualify for financial assistance or for Medicaid through the Medicaid expansion. So a high proportion of our uninsured are eligible for assistance on the state insurance marketplace to either get a tax credit to help make their premiums lower or to get Medicaid. So this slide indicates that. Going forward. In year one, the state had set a target enrollment number of 5,304 individuals to initially enroll into the health insurance marketplace, marylandhealthconnection.gov. Our most recent data, I think that this is actually from the summer, so this is much higher, even higher now, because we've helped people with life-changing events. But we ended up enrolling 7,667 people in our 3 counties. So we surpassed the target goal of 5,304. Of those, 5,486 enrolled into Medicaid, 2,181 into qualified health plans. In Wacomico County, the breakdown was over 1,000 people enrolled into qualified health plans and over 3,000 into Medicaid. Now, we looked at the demographics of our lower shore uninsured populations as part of our strategic outreach planning to figure out who we needed to reach and how to help people who needed coverage get covered. And we found that just like across the nation and statewide, there's disparities, health care coverage disparities among minorities. So in this slide, you can see that even though the African American population is 24% of our population in the 3 counties, they make up 34% of the uninsured population. So they're more likely to be uninsured. With the Hispanic population, they make up 4.2% of the population, but they're 6% of the proportion of the uninsured. So again, a higher proportion of minorities are more likely to be uninsured. So that has caused us to do some very targeted outreach to minority communities to improve the coverage rates among those groups. So in year one, we looked and analyzed how we were effective in enrolling people, and there were several key components. And I will touch on each of these very briefly. The first is a steering committee of our partners that we collaborated with closely each month meeting, communications, outreach, and marketing to promote the program, and consumer-driven customer service. We also have some very specific tools, technological tools that help us track our work, and in a virtual call center that's available for the public. When they call in, they reach a navigator or a sister on their cell phone in all 3 counties. I would say that probably what's unique to our program compared to the rest of the state is the close collaboration we have with the departments of social services, all the health departments, all the hospitals, TLC, who alone has 40,000 patients, 5,000 of whom are uninsured. We've come together with all of these groups to meet monthly and discuss strategies to reach people, how to improve our outreach, our communications, how to improve referrals, because many times, you know, with all the publicity around this new program, people would come to navigators and then it would turn out that they had questions about Medicare or they needed other resources in the community. And by having these partnerships, we were able to provide warm handoffs, referrals, and help people coordinate the resources in our communities that they need. So it didn't just stop at the health insurance. Our strategies for success going forward in year 2, one, we have this customer relationship management tool. You'll see that up there. It's called Sugar. Last year, we used a free version of it, and since then we've upgraded because we're able to track demographics of all of our consumers that we assist, how many people we reach in our outreach activities, what types of coverage people are getting, whether it's qualified health plans or Medicaid, and where they're enrolling. We know that the Baptist Street DSS in Salisbury is our busiest site for enrollment, so that by seeing the numbers, I can redirect resources and staff there. This year, we have monthly health insurance public enrollment events. Last year, we did an event in March called Health Connect Now, and we enrolled over 100 people at the Civic Center at the end of March last year. So this year, we're having an enrollment event each month. The first one and the last one are both in Wacomico County at the Civic Center. The first one's actually coming up this Saturday from 10 to 2. The public can walk in and expect to get enrolled by the time they leave that day. Then the December event is in Worcester County. The January event is in Somerset. And then February 7th, we return again to the Civic Center to do a public enrollment event. Also new this year, because the system works this year, and we're not having to enroll people manually on spreadsheets, encrypted spreadsheets being sent back and forth from the state. People are actually able to use the consumer website. The public gets to start using it tomorrow. We've started using it by appointment with our navigators as of yesterday. And so we've set up computer labs, which is new. We didn't do that last year. We have a daily computer lab open from 8 to 4:30 at the Baptist Street DSS. And we started using that today, actually sort of a soft launch to see how it's going. And people are able to enroll themselves with some of my team standing by to answer questions and pull them aside if they need a private appointment. We also have an after-hours computer lab that begins to be opened on Tuesday evenings starting today at the One Stop Job Market. So for those people who are working and for people who are self-employed and they need after hours assistance, we do have a computer lab open at the One Stop Job Market from 5 to 7. And then we have some evening appointment availability at the One Stop Job Market on Wednesday evenings. We are trying to improve going forward for year 2 our ability to collect the success stories, because there are success stories, and much of last year was spent so much time was spent trying to really build this program from the ground. It did not exist before, so going forward we're trying to really do a better job at sharing what those successes are, and then continuing to do really truly strategic outreach to target populations. So since this is the Wacomico County Council, I wanted to share with you where our navigators are assisting people by appointment, and I'll share with you our telephone number where people can make those appointments. We're located at the Departments of Social Services, the Health Department in the Fritz Building. We assist homeless people who are and other disadvantaged people who are getting help from Hope Inc. and Urban Ministries. We go to each of those sites. We are at the libraries providing outreach, and I forgot to mention when I was talking about computer labs, we are working with implementing access to Maryland Health Connection on all library computers in all 3 counties. There's going to be a link, and the library staff in all 3 counties is getting a very brief training on that system and how to refer people to our hotline in case people are on the website and have questions and need additional help. We're located at the One Stop Job Market, doing regular outreach at locally owned pharmacies. We have a navigator and a sister who work out of the hospital, PRMC, and at TLC Woodbrook. We can't be everywhere every day. I have about 8 navigators and 6 assisters right now. So I spread and that's just for Wacomico County. So I spread people out there at some locations 2 days a week, some 3 days a week. So that's why we encourage the hotline and appointments. So a little bit more just to recap on the computer lab option. We are having access on library computers, all library computers in all 3 counties, not just Wacomico County, at the One Stop and at the Department of Social Services. And then here's our contact information. We encourage people to call our local call center. There's usually not a wait, and it is virtual, so it goes directly to my team's cell phones in the field, who are, if whoever's available to take calls at that moment. So they're speaking with someone who's trained and certified in this program and able to have a warm handoff to a person who is within their county, whether it be Wacomico, Somerset, or Worcester, and set up an appointment. So our number is 855-445-5540. We have a local website with a calendar that says of information about all of our public outreaches and events, enrollment fairs. And for those who are on social media, we do have a Facebook page at Lower Shore Health and a Twitter account, LS Connector, and we use those to promote to people who are not using mainstream media. And here's my contact information. If any of your constituents have questions or you would like more information about our work in Wicomico County, please feel free to contact me. Email's the best way because I'm pretty mobile, just like my team. So, thank you.
Thank you. Council have any questions?
Just one, if you don't mind. I know last year when all this started, there was some confusion about individuals who had enrolled or thought they enrolled, but they didn't necessarily actually have the insurance. What's the proof that, once they go through this enrollment process, that they actually do have the insurance, and I guess what they will, what it will cost them?
Right. So the problem with last year was the system, and since then the state decided to go to a system that was proven to work. They actually picked up Connecticut's system and brought it to Maryland, and it is working. And last year there wasn't any sort of confirmation page or anything to print out, but this year when they do the application online, they can print out their confirmation right there that says their insurance information coverage.
So all these sites that you have, including the library, there is a printer that...
Yes.
Does it cost them to print out the confirmation? That is...
And all of my staff also has a mobile scanner. If in case they need to upload documents, they use laptops and they have mobile printers with them as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to say I appreciate you doing the presentation today, Susan and Kathy, simply because I serve on the Social Services Advisory Board, and Susan has always kept us abreast of what's going on, and I felt it was necessary to bring that before the public. This is a way that we can only keep everybody educated, but then also address the targeted areas that you mentioned, such as 65% in the minority community needing this information. So across the board, just want to make sure everybody's informed and appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item for council's consideration is resolution number 146, 2014, at the request of the county executive, confirming the reappointment of Michael B. Mathers, Esquire, to the Wicomico County Social Services Advisory Board.
Can I have a motion to introduce resolution 146-2014?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of resolution 146-2014, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the president votes aye.
Melissa.
Next item is resolution number 147, 2014, at the request of the county executive, confirming the reappointment of Emmanuel Onizilo, Ph.D., to the Wicomico County Social Services Advisory Board.
Can I have a motion to introduce resolution 147-2014?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor of resolution 147-2014, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the president votes aye.
Next is resolution number 148, 2014, at the request of the county executive, confirming the reappointment of Chief Deputy Gary Baker to the Wicomico County Social Services Advisory Board.
Okay, can I have a motion to introduce resolution 148-2014?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of resolution 148-2014, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the president votes aye.
Next is resolution number 149, at the request of the county executive, confirming the appointment of Reverend Lawrence H. Purnell Sr. to the Wicomico County Social Services Advisory Board.
Can I have a motion to introduce resolution 149-2014?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this?
Just a quick question. Mr. Baker, all these resolutions seem to have I'm going to say, they're confirmed until June 30th, 2017, so this board does not have any staggered terms?
That I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that for you.
Okay. So right now,
It could be
they,
some of these are reappointments, so they're probably ending on their same term.
okay, just, yeah, because they all, I know at times we've had staggered
Staggered
terms
terms.
on boards. Thank you, if you check on that.
Glad to.
Okay, any other questions on this resolution?
Okay.
Okay. All in favor of Resolution 149-2014, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the president votes aye.
The next item is Resolution Number 150, 2014, at the request of the county executive, declaring that SBY River LLC, located at 692 to 704 Fitzwater Street, Salisbury, Maryland, is eligible to receive enterprise zone benefits.
Okay, can I have a motion to introduce Resolution 150-2014?
So moved. Second.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions on this? Okay. All in favor of Resolution 150-2014, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the president votes aye.
Next, as was mentioned previously, for your consideration, Resolution Number 152, 2014, it is not on the agenda, making, at the request of the county executive, making a supplemental appropriation from contingency to general services in the amount of $51,000. Mr. Rick Conrad is here to explain the situation to council.
Okay. Can I have a motion to introduce Resolution 152-2014?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
There is a package of information that was on your tape. Yes, it looks like this. Most of you, or is it all of you, received this morning as well. And apologize again for you not being able to have it in advance.
Morning.
Morning, all.
If you would introduce.
I'm Rick Conrad, here representing the Purchasing Department and General Services.
Yep.
I'm Rodney Dawson. I represent Purchasing General Services at Wycomico County Health Department.
Okay.
I provided a packet. Hopefully, you've all had a chance to at least look at it. I also apologize for the late notice on this, but it is basically an emergency because we're trying to run the building on 2 heating units, and they're not adequate to do the job, and we're getting into the cooling season. I'll let Rodney explain how this problem was discovered.
Actually, what we have there, we have 6 rooftop units on that Fritz building. And I get some calls, receiving calls, staff complaining they smell a gas smell inside the building. So when I sent Wilfrey, who does our maintenance contract at that building, over to check out what was going on, they found that the heat exchangers, which is inside the rooftop unit itself, are rusty on the bottom, which causes a draft. So the igniter is trying to light and the pilot goes out, constantly trying, because the air coming in is putting the pilot out. So he went and checked the rest of the units, which is a total of 6. 2 of them was okay. The other 4 also had rust under the bottom of them. And the cost to, replace those heat exchangers was a substantial amount because they found all the additional problems. And then the units was put in 2002, those rooftop units. And so they were just things, we were wasting a lot of money to repair the heat exchangers instead of replacing the heat exchangers. So.
And that's why our recommendation is to go with replacing the units in their entirety with newer, more efficient units, rather than repairing a 12 or 13-year-old unit that is close to the end of its life cycle. It shouldn't be already out and broken in this fashion, but it is. And that's why we made the recommendation to go ahead and replace them. And we did get an informal bid process, because a formal bid process would have taken close to 6 weeks by the time we awarded the bid. And then we would still have to come to council to get the contingency money, and by then we'd be in the middle of winter and would be facing with some difficult situations over there with the comfort and health and safety of the people in the building. So that's why we kind of rushed this and got this in front of council as quickly as we could, so that we could get a decision and try to get these repairs done and the replacements done.
Does this fall under that services agreement, the energy saving agreement that we're in the counties?
No, there weren't any, these units had nothing to do with that agreement, unfortunately. They weren't part of it.
Does the building itself have something to do with it, or?
You did some improvements there. Yeah, the lighting,
Uh-huh.
there was lighting done there, and it was a building envelope work and some plumbing. I think they did the bathrooms.
Okay, but the heating and air didn't have.
No, they didn't.
Mr. Dawson, we have 4 units now that currently cannot put out heat, is that
That's
correct?
correct, they're totally disconnected.
Why wasn't this addressed at an earlier time?
Well,
Why wasn't it addressed when the first unit went out?
what happened, they didn't go out, they went out, the vendor turned them out because the liability issue there with the gas mill, the pilot's going out.
All
He-
4 of them at the same time?
When he went over and inspected the building, that's when he found the 4 units. He inspected all 4 units, all 6 units at that time, and found 4 of them, the heat exchangers are rusted at the bottom of them.
Do we have a annual maintenance and inspection of those units?
We have a maintenance contract, yes, we do.
And were they inspected annually and this wasn't detected?
That's what I'm assuming, yes.
Whose fault is this?
Well, John, I don't know if it's anybody's fault. We would have liked the vendor who had the maintenance contract to discover this last year.
Of course we
And we
would.
would have been able to address it in a much more prompt fashion.
And it
There's no
would have saved
question.
thousands of dollars if we could have repaired these instead of having to replace them. I think it's inexcusable. I think it's just a derelict of responsibility.
John, can I speak a minute?
Sure, Joe.
I've had a little experience with this. These heat exchangers, the way they sit in these units, they sit right near the base. So you have about this much room. And we had this happen at home here a couple years ago. We had a unit that was probably only about 7 or 8 years old. What happens, moisture, leaves, things get in there. And until you actually pull that heat exchanger out, remove it from the unit, which isn't something people do because majorly you have to take the whole unit apart. Until you pull that unit out, what happens, these heat exchangers are metal tubes about that big. It rusts underneath, so there's no way. Now, I can't explain why all 4 went to bed at the same time. but-
That's the issue,
But
really.
it's,
Right.
I think we had like 8 tubes on that one we had, and out of the 8 tubes, I think 6 of them had rusted out. And so we were getting the smell. So it's hard to inspect that part of it.
And they were all functional at the end of last winter. They were all working correctly. You didn't have indications of the gas smell.
No
What happened when they were fired up this year to begin the heating season, the gas smell was indicated, was coming into the building, and there were concerns on what was going on, and then they checked the units out, and that's when they discovered this problem.
Well-
I don't know if, Mr. Holloway's correct. It's not part of their contract to pull the exchangers out and look at them. They are supposed to look the unit over and make sure it's functional and
Functioning
working.
normally.
And at the end of last year, it was, so it's
Well,
just.
maybe it would be a good idea to set up their annual inspection, if this is an annual inspection, a little bit earlier instead of putting it in
That's
an
a good
emergency
point. That's a
situation.
good point.
Rick, another question. The health department roof, I assume, is a flat roof. That's why these are on the roof. Has any thought been given, I know when we just redid a roof at the beach, it wasn't for the units over there, but we did raise them up off the roof so that, they wouldn't be sitting in moisture or rain, because our roof is basically kind of flat over there too. Has any thought been given to, raising them up a little bit this time?
That
To
wasn't
help
part of
to
what we
protect them.
spec'd, but we can discuss that for sure.
Yeah, that
It's like,
way-
they call it a gutter, it's called a roof curb, yeah,
Yeah, well,
It's on a roof curb right now.
it is.
okay, I don't know what that means,
Yes,
but,
it's sitting on 6 to 8 inches off the flat roof itself.
okay, so they're not sitting in potentially water all the time, okay, or debris.
So after this replacement is done, and I know we had said that certainly we thought that this would last longer, the life expectancy, but what are we anticipating moving forward for life expectancy of the item that we're going to replace?
I think
I mean, just for layman's terms,
typical,
like, what is it?
typical unit, we look for 20 years out of a
Okay.
unit.
That's all I'm saying.
You're lucky
You
if
can
you
get
get that
that.
there.
Okay.
It's
The other
correct.
2 units, how old were they? Are they the
Same, they
age?
were all replaced at the same time previously.
may be
We just want to
seeing
get
this again.
these fixed now, and then we'll take a look at the other ones, and as Mr. Hall said, try to do a more thorough inspection on them to make sure that they're working correctly the next time around.
Any other comments or questions?
No, I can explain why it's going to be cold tomorrow, because John Hall and I agree.
I hope you don't have to take the day off at the health department.
I'm okay with it. I mean, it's, you know, it's just, it's something that happens. You know, I don't think there's any way to know it's gonna happen, so.
Okay. All right, we've had a motion and a second. All in favor of Resolution 152-2014, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the president votes aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. I just wanted to say thank you to our outgoing council members. It's been a pleasure working with them over the years, and good luck to them.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
That's all I have for now, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Baker, we don't have anything under your
No, sir.
section? Okay. Now it's time for public comment, if anybody has any public comments. Someone's got to go first.
Good morning, this cold morning. I'm sorry to see that the resolution 1512-014 was pulled, and I'm glad to see it's coming back in December for whatever reason. And as you see, the community here is very concerned about that resolution because it's about one of our schools in our neighborhood. A few years back, and I can't remember if it was 2, 3, because time goes by so fast, I attended a meeting at West Salisbury where we discussed options for West Salisbury Elementary. A couple months ago, the superintendent came to the city council and showed us some proposals and ideas for several schools in the county. And I noticed, and I was happy to see that West Salisbury was number 1. And I'm hoping that this county council will continue to make West Salisbury number 1 in the bond 151, the resolution 151-2014 for the $1.25 million to help with the options, whichever option is chosen, to bring this school in the 21st century. My church, Wesley Temple, is the faith-based partner with West Salisbury. Several of us are here today. Several of us are here from other churches and community. People who have worked and retired from the school know the need and serious needs of this school. It's a very important asset to our community, and I hope, if there's any doubt in any of the council members' minds, I hope that you see the support, and would be more people here today in support of this bond, to keep it in the bond. And so when it comes back in December, you will definitely see more people, standing room only, taxpayers, majority of them, who wants to see this bond remain in that resolution.
Thank you. Any other public comments today? Sure.
It's good to be back home for a day. I haven't been coming here much because you've been doing such a good job. I felt like you don't need me there. Well, I came today because I've been affiliated with both the councils for 12 years and with the school system for 35 years. I work directly with West Salisbury and all the other 24 schools. What I found out is West Salisbury was in dire need when I was working in the system of some repairs. And West Salisbury has basically been inadvertently excluded. I don't like that. West Salisbury needs to be brought up to date with the other good schools in Wycomico County. I urge you to respect that concept and bring back the resolution. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Melva Wright, and I serve as a principal at West Salisbury Elementary School. And I certainly do appreciate the outpouring of support from our faith-based partners, Wesley Temple, and from St. Paul AME Zion Church, that also serves as the other of our faith-based partners. I have been the principal at West Salisbury for 11 years, and I have lived 18 years of my life at West Salisbury, between being a first grade teacher and now serving again as its principal. And in the time that I've been at West Salisbury, we have always been on the capital improvement list. And according to the plan, when I went to West Salisbury, we should be sitting in a new school right now. But unfortunately, we were behind two other major projects, the James M. Bennett High School project as well as the Bennett Middle School project. And as those projects were delayed, that consequently delayed the West Salisbury project. And I was delighted to see during my tenure, to see the project come back in the order where it deserves to be. And as my previous speakers have shared, we do need to have a major presence in that West Salisbury community. And certainly with the current facility and the age of the facility, we have unfortunately been overlooked. If those of you that know the county buildings, the schools, know that West Salisbury and Glen Avenue are identical buildings. But you look at Glen Avenue, it has two major additions and renovations that somehow have skipped West Salisbury. West Salisbury opened originally in 1964. I was 4 years old. And that building has had no renovation since its original construction. And I certainly would love to see that project come to fruition prior to my retirement. I've worked 33 years for the public school system here, and certainly our students deserve a state-of-the-art school that's equivalent to many of the other buildings that have been renovated in Wicomico County. So certainly your major consideration to this project would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
My name is Mary Ashanti, and I'm president of Wicomico County NAACP. And before, I find myself talking about several issues today. One, I want to piggyback on what's already been said, and I wrote myself a note. West Salisbury opened in 1964 with no renovations. And how did we let that happen? Those of you that make decisions on money, think about that and whatever. Think about what it says to that part of the community that it happened. So we support NAACP. We support the keeping West Salisbury #1 in renovations or whatever it needs to make it whole. And we hope that you support that and that you make it happen and you show the West Salisbury community, along with other community, that that area of town is equally important. And you know, people judge you on your action, and actions speak louder than words. The second thing is, and I ask God forgive me, I always thank God for the opportunity to be here and I ask him to bless everybody that come in and out of this building, not just for today, but for eternity. Secondly, I want to make a comment in reference to Gladys Gosley. Gladys Gosley, Mrs. Gosley, my sorority sister. She was humanitarian philanthropist. She served on numerous boards, UMES, Warwick, Community Foundation, Chipman Foundation, and many, many more. She was truly, truly a great servant leader, and she will be missed sorely. Next, let me take this opportunity to thank those of you that have served over the years and for a job well done. We have not always agreed, but that's life. We commend those that are retiring and hope that retirement is all you want it to be. Those of you that are coming back, we are expecting great things from you. And my next topic is racial profiling. Racial profiling is the practice of substituting skin color for evidence as grounds for suspicion. It typically stems from internal biases and stereotypes and leads to discriminatory outcomes. Racial profiling can happen and does happen at every step of the criminal justice system and is particularly dangerous tool when in the hands of law enforcement or armed citizens. Prior to 9/11, many steps were taken to end racial profiling, and passage of a federal law seemed more likely. However, since 9/11, the dynamics have changed. Dialogue and dynamic make it easier to focus on individuals that of different race, nationality, religion. What we know is that racial profiling has never worked. For example, in 2003, the police came in contact with the DC sniper and let him go at least 10 times because they were operating on the profile of a white man in a white van acted alone. They ended up arresting an African-American man and boy traveling in a blue car. In 1901, President McKinley was murdered by an American-born native of Michigan, European American, who concealed a pistol in a bandage that was wrapped around his arm and hand. Secret Service agent George Foster was assigned to search individuals coming to the area. Foster later admitted to searching this gentleman, Leon, because he didn't search him because he was looking for a dark complexioned man with a black mustache. It was later revealed that the man with the dark complexion was Jim Parker, an African-American former constable who was a spectator at the event. Parker saved the president from the third bullet and apprehended the assailant. So you see, racial profiling does not help any of us. And that's something that we need to address on a national level and on a county and state level. And lastly, Wycomico County NAACP will hold its monthly meeting on this Thursday, November the 20th, at 7 o'clock at Chipman Cultural Center on the second floor. The primary focus of this meeting is to engage law enforcement agencies in constructive, positive dialogue with community members who are concerned over working relationships between the public and law enforcement, especially those street patrolmen. Following the rash of local law enforcement shootings, this meeting will give law enforcement agencies the opportunity to discuss any new policies and procedures for the safety of officers in the community. So we're hoping that, that you will attend, citizens and those of you that are in politics, because you will be needed. Lost my train of thought. That's a sign. Thank you for listening to me. We hope that the city, the county, and the town councils will work with us in establishing oversight measures that can be of service and help for everyone. And my thought came back, we want to see everybody, every law enforcement officer in Wicomico County, including its township and cities, to have the cameras, to wear the body armor cameras. And whenever they come in contact with citizens, make sure that it is on. It will protect them and it will protect the citizens. And it will go a long way in building trust, because there will be that mechanism that the citizen can use and law enforcement can use. Right now, if something happens and there's no citizens around, the judge tends to take the word of law enforcement officers because they can say no wrong in whatever, according to the judicial system. And the average citizen without a witness is found guilty. So we need cameras not only on the person in the car, and we need to make sure that every law enforcement building in Wicomico County have a camera so they can see what happens inside and outside. I think our tax dollars deserve that. Thank you.
Any other public comments today? Okay, council comments.
Well, I would just like to congratulate everybody who won their election, and I wish them the best for their future.
Sure. I'd just like to expound upon what was said by Sora Mary Ashante with regards to Gladys Gosley. She, if you were not aware, certainly was a woman of integrity, a woman with leadership at her helm, I would say, because she served as an educator for 41 years in Wicomico County, and prior to her sickness, she served as a mentor for educators. And to that end, I think that is something that is very necessary, because all of us at some point have been in the public school system, and persons who are coming in, they need that extra support. And you had people and a person like Gladys Gosley to provide that. And then lastly, her commitment to the Community Foundation, I thought was very impeccable, for the reason that she and her husband started a fund of about $50,000 for youth programs, and it has now grown over to $100,000 and putting back into the community for the support that families and children need. So certainly she'll be sadly missed, and I just felt as though it was necessary to expound upon that. And thank you again for having the moment of silence. Last comment, certainly again like to thank everybody who attended today, the meeting with regards to our resolution. When it does return to the table, I pray that persons from the community will be here to support the new councilman, Mr. Davis, who is in the audience, because the support is needed. The school needs to be replaced. I used to attend the school, and I live down the street from the school. And taxpayers on the west side of the county expect and are deserving of having equal school buildings for their children. And I'm expecting that to continue. And as I serve on the state level, I would do my best to continue to do that, regardless if I have the support or not. I'm just going to stand firm to what I believe in. So to that end, I hope that the new council and our new county executive, Mr. Carver, I do wish you the best. But I pray that you do not take this out of the resolution, and you would seek it necessary to put funding with this particular project and many others, because Wicomico County still needs to grow. It still needs to grow. We're here. We have to have a quality life I expect it, my children expect it, and many of you do as well. So when we have funding before us and projects before us, I hope that persons take the time to research it, understanding the impact, and continue to do what's best for our county.
Thank you. Any other council comments?
I'll go next, if that's okay. Okay, Shaney? Okay. I'd like to thank the people that came out today for speaking. I was at the Facilities Task Force meeting last night at Fruitland, and it's very unfortunate there were only 29 people there, and probably more than half of them were representatives of the Board of Education. However, number one priority on the Facilities Task Force, Mrs. Wright, was the West Salisbury School, and I hope it'll continue to be in that place. I encourage my fellow council members also to attend some of the Facilities Task Force meetings and get involved. We have a new education center at the library also, and we encourage the public to go ahead and use that. I would congratulate our newly elected county council people, Larry Dodd, Ernie Davis, Mark Kilmer, and John Cannon. Bob Culver, congratulations on being our new county executive. I wish you all the luck. Cherie Sample Hughes, our new state delegate. We look forward with working with you in the state, and I'm sure it will be rewarding for all of us. Gail Barkovich, thank you very much for your years of service. You've been an inspiration to me, and thank you for your guidance and the leadership that you've shown to the community. Thank you very much for your service. And Stevie, of course, I sit next to you, and you've been invaluable to me. And again, thank you for your years of experience, wisdom, dedication, and advice that you've given me. The council certainly is going to be a lot shorter as far as its history goes because you have so many years of dedicated service, and it's going to be like starting all over again with a new council. But again, thank you very much for your service. It's been a pleasure working with you. Oh, you too.
Oh, thanks. All right, any other council comments? Okay. I don't have any comments today, so at this time, could I have a motion to adjourn and move into a closed work session with the internal auditor and a closed work session on litigation?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think we'll take 5 minutes.